you can only watch it for the first time once. It'll be interesting to see what we catch and what we don't.
Did you ever play the video game Mass Effect?
This is where Babylon 5 is becoming Babylon 5.
That was great. I love that.
100% completely accurate, definitive ranking of Babylon 5.
I love it so much.
We're officially into it, Jeff.
The year is 2025. The name of the podcast, Babylon 5, for the second time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the second time. My name is Brent Allen.
And I'm Jeff Akin. Brent and I used to be Star Trek podcasters a while ago, and then we watched Babylon 5 for the first time, and everything changed. So now we're watching this incredible series for the second time, paying attention to all of the things that we didn't know about when we watched it the first time around.
But we are still former Star Trek podcasters, and we're former Babylon 5 for the first time podcasters, where we do this thing where we overanalyze an episode and look for messages. We're still doing that this time around, trying to find those sci-fi messages in this series. We're asking what the episodes are trying to tell us, if they're trying to tell us anything at all. And just a heads up, if this is your first time through the series, stop right now. Go join us on Babylon 5 for the first time and make your way through unspoiled, because from this point forward, anything from any episode of Babylon 5, the franchise of Babylon 5 Crusade, the movies, lurkers guides, books, novels, comics, con panels, anything where we might have information, that is all fair game for us to talk about. You have been warned.
We're watching Believers today for the second time.
Yay!
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Well, Brent, tell me, what do you remember about your first viewing of this episode, Believers?
I hated this episode so much with a passion, but not like I hated A Late Delivery from Avalon. This was a very different type of hatred for me. I hated this one because of how it made me feel at the end. It actually went to a place I didn't think any TV in the 90s was going to go. It's a place where TV would go today, for sure, especially HBO, anything like that, right? I did not think 90s TV was going to go here. And it was like someone driving a dagger into my heart. I have to tell you, Jeff, I said this back then, I'll say it again. Ever since becoming a parent myself, I don't handle kid stuff really well. Mm-hmm. I just don't hurt the kids. Don't hurt the kids no matter what. JMS, I'm looking at you. I know your policy. Stop hurting kids. That being said, Jeff, I also remember thinking this is a really great episode of sci-fi. Like, this is a textbook episode, moral conundrums, exploring both sides. You kind of see each person's point of view. I'm sorry, let me take that back. You definitely see each person's point of view, and they both have a good point. And in the end, it leaves you asking the question of, what do you think? For that, I think this episode gets extremely high marks. But I have to tell you, Jeff, if this is the last time I ever have to watch this episode, I will not complain. How about you?
Same. Like, this episode is horrible, awful. And I think some of the best episodes of Babylon 5 are that. You know, I think down the road, we have things like Confessions and Lamentations and stuff that's coming. And it's like, I don't want to watch that again. And I don't want to watch this one again. We said, I don't know if it was before we came on or when it was just when we were hanging out with our Patreon folks, but I feel like I remember everything about this episode. Absolutely everything. Like, it's burned into my mind. And I'm very much hopeful that I'll watch it and be like, oh, I forgot this thing, or that's different. But going into it, that's not going to happen. You know, it's just going to be like, oh, yep, there's that crappy thing. Oh, there's that horrible thing, you know, all that. What I really remember out of this this is where Jeff's extreme hatred, dislike of Dr. Franklin really took root.
Interesting. You want to know what you actually said?
Yeah.
The first time we went through this?
I'm pretty curious.
Because I went back and listened.
Okay.
You actually, you took this and you related it back to Star Trek, because that's what we did, especially way back in the early part of the series. We both actually said we were getting very big Tuvix vibes off this episode. Okay. Where both answers are right and wrong. Now, I completely disagree. I think Tuvix has a very definitive right and wrong answer, but still, you get my point. But you, Jeff, really related this to growing up in a cult. Your own experience growing up in a cult is where that was like your jumping off point when you were talking about this as we went through this the first time. We both posited, and we were discussing it. I still don't think I know if this is true or not. Is there a big debate in the fandom as to who's right in this particular episode? Was it Dr. Franklin or was it the parents? And of course, for us after this, the whole conversation dropped and we moved on because we had great episodes still to come, such as Liana Kimmer and Ben Zane. But Jeff, you made a declaration on this one.
Oh.
You said that Sinclair made the absolute right call here, and it was a shining leadership moment. And it was the most shining leadership moment he's had so far in the series. Yeah. And specifically what you were talking about there was how he went to the kid and talked to the kid, but he came back to Franklin and he said to Franklin at some point, "You should never have asked me."
That's right.
Meaning you should have just done it.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just done it. Don't come ask me for this in the future, because once you ask me, now I have to weigh in. You should have just done it. Which I thought was real interesting. I made a very bold prediction though, Jeff.
Yeah.
As we talked about this. Let me read the prediction.
Okay.
Buckle in. Get that crown loosely situated up there. The great egg is gonna be a big thing. Like huge. So big. It's gonna come back. This culture is too well developed to just be left as a one-time thing.
Yeah. You couldn't have been more right. Well, I went, Brent, and I looked at the Lurkers Guide and see the things that JMS talked about.
Anything good that we should be aware of as we get to head into this episode today?
So much.
Oh, no.
There was so much in this one.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. All right. First of all, let me just ask, how much was this JMS popping back at people commenting, like putting stupid comments out there?
There was definitely a little bit of that.
Okay.
But, and I talk about one of them because I think it's actually.
Those make me laugh, by the way. Whenever I read those, I get a chuckle out of them.
It's so fun. But I think in this one, there was actually some pretty relevant stuff he pushed back on. And I think some of the questions were the assuming, what the questions were, because we only see one side of it, but it seemed like some good ones in it. But to make this episode, you said when you talked about your thoughts, how they're not going to make TV like this in the 90s. Like, they don't do this.
Yeah.
So he said of the episode, he goes, "This is like something that has never been done in any science fiction TV. And I don't think it's ever been done in TV overall at that point." He said that P10, when he submitted it to them, they said, they go, "Number one, this is absolutely against the demographics on the show. Number two, no studio or network executive in his right mind would ever approve this story in a million years. And number three, it's a hell of a story. I love it. Let's do it." And he talked more about P10, and he said, they left us alone. They're trusting us in our storytelling. We want to go right out to the very edge, and they're letting us, which is wonderful. So it's one of those things, like JMS had these great ideas, but it was really that partnership with P10 that let him do a lot of it. Well, the fan community at the time said this wasn't sci-fi enough. He's like, it doesn't have enough warp gates. There's no tachyon emitters. There's no technobabble. But what he said, and I love this.
I was going to say, you know what that sounds like to me, honestly? That's people who are just, it's not Star Trek.
Yeah. Well,
that's all that is.
He says, you're right. It didn't have all of those things. This was a story about people and the dilemmas they face, and that is precisely why so much of contemporary science fiction TV, he's looking at modern Star Trek at the time, I believe, is barren, lifeless, and irrelevant. And it's precisely why series such as the original Star Trek, Outer Limits, and The Twilight Zone are still with us today.
I would disagree that modern Star Trek, for him, Berman era Star Trek, was any of those things that he just described, outside of individual episodes being like that.
Yeah.
But I to each their own, to each their own. There you go. I could see that through a lot of 80s sci-fi that was kind of coming out.
It's kind of a cool little, view on the whole thing. Somebody was arguing with him and saying that the Doctor was right. And he says, "I disagree with you." Says who? Not the parents. The episode didn't say he was right. Nobody in this was really right when you come down to it, except maybe Sinclair, who made the correct call. You say the boy was okay at the end. Well, the parents didn't think so. Who's to say if there was or wasn't a soul inside? The thing about believers is that really nobody is right. And from their point of view, everyone is right. Like that's, to me, like that's sci-fi. That's what this is here. That's what it exists for.
Well, and you know, to clarify, when I say that this is a really good episode of sci-fi, it's not that there's tachyons and warp bubbles and jump gates and pew pew pews and all that kind of stuff. It's what we do is Star Trek. And if there's Star Trek people that are saying that kind of stuff, like, do you not even understand your own show? Like what's so great about sci-fi as a genre, and it's why we've stopped saying the Star Trek message is the sci-fi message, right? Because it's the genre is you can tackle these issues, explore it from both sides, and then leave it there for people to address. And you put it in alien worlds so that we can make it more palatable.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is what we got from Lurker's Guide. You got from our first time viewing. What do you say we go watch this episode for the second time?
Can we just fast forward and get to the end?
I know.
And
like by the end, I mean the credits. Like,
yeah, right. That's what I mean. Right.
Yeah, nothing else. Oh my God.
Right. I mean, because Jeff, I dare say you and I right now could skip to the end, have the entire conversation about the message of this episode.
I think so.
Right now.
Yeah.
I guess we should watch it. The council chambers over there, those guys are not, they're like, no, you're not allowed to. We have to see you cringe and cry and throw stuff and things.
Yeah, that might happen.
Thanks, council chambers.
Yeah, seriously. You put us up. Just remember that.
Yeah.
You put us up to this.
This is all your fault, guys. It's all your fault.
All right, man, let's do this. If you haven't, like Brent said earlier, if you haven't watched our For the First Time piece or haven't watched this episode, stop and go watch it. It's just, it has a ton more context and you'll enjoy it a lot more. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're about to see the kind of cut up reaction video style of this. We do have our full, unedited, complete version of this up on our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Babylon5 first, the number 5 and the word first.
And hey, listen, if you guys are listening to this on the audio side of things, a podcasting app, maybe Audible or some other way where you're just listening to the audio, you're actually going to get to hear the reaction to the episode as it happens. And we're going to meet you on the other side where Jeff and I are going to share our thoughts on this episode. We'll talk about those messages that we already know are in there. But the question is, Jeff, are we going to find new messages that we missed the first time around?
We just might.
All right. Well, let's jump into this episode.
Accessing file.
I dive right in.
What do you mean there's no sci-fi? Look, he's on a bed with lights going over top of him. How much more sci-fi can you get?
It's modern medicine right there. Future medicine. He's got a real Bill Mummy look to him.
You know who he reminds me of is Brian
in the streams of time, Sean.
Worf's kid.
Bonzal?
So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what
That's
is
who he
written
looks
in the
like to me.
streams of time. Very soon you will breathe much easier.
please don't speak that way. No one knows what is written in the stream until the waters surround him.
The great stream? Do we get a stream now too? We missed the stream the first time
I'm
around.
never wrong about these things.
I'm never wrong about these
Right?
things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dr. Franklin, my husband would like to speak with you candidly. May he do so?
Of course.
Dude, she's just like, I'm really mad at you, so you need to go talk to my husband.
Right.
Surgery.
You will cut him open?
Well, that's usually what surgery entails.
He says that with like a
nothing to worry
chuckle
about,
in his
though.
voice. You cut him
Yes,
open?
We will find no help here.
Thank you, Dr. Franklin. I'm sorry to have taken so much of your time.
Wait. Look, it's a simple procedure. Look, afterwards he'll be stronger than ever.
You don't understand. Food animals are cut open. They don't have a soul, so it's all right. But the chosen of God may not be punctured.
You must not cut into the child.
Now, I know what is written.
You just said you don't know. You got to wait for the waters to envelop him.
Of the third age.
This is one of those things that Star Trek specifically loves to bring up, and I don't feel like they ever do it well, which is how do you not judge another culture by your own standards when those things in that other culture are clearly wrong, like should be universally wrong. You know what I mean?
You would think.
You know, a death sentence for somebody who walked across the grass. Like, really? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, but also, I mean, they would say the exact same thing about us. How can you just
Exactly.
let that happen?
We'll be right there.
Exactly. But that's what I mean is they never do a good job of really exploring it and giving you an answer. Like, how do you walk that line between
So if it's a lot of it is just that question of just like, we can sit here and say this is clearly objectively right or wrong. But who gets to say that's objectively correct? Who's making that decision? I mean, you can say it's wrong to kill.
Says who?
He said, yeah, why?
Says who?
Was it always wrong? Is that just like a unit? Because if that's a universal constant, there probably wouldn't be a lot of killing that happened. But there really is a lot that happens.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the question, well, if it is universally wrong to kill, then nobody can kill. But if it's not universally wrong to kill, then who can kill and who can't?
And who gets to decide who can?
The government gets to kill, but individuals can't? Got it.
Commander, we've just received a distress signal from the Starliner Asimov.
Location.
Grid 471 by 18.
Jeff, something I want you to pay attention to as we get into this. Let's say it. I'm going to say it so we can address it as it goes. What you and I had said was both the A plot and the B plot centered around an officer disobeying direct orders.
Oh, okay.
Franklin disobeying his orders. Ivanova is going to disobey her orders. And both people doing what they thought was right in order to save people. And you see how it can actually work out for one and not for the other. So in doing so, you get this idea that like it may or may not, just because it does or doesn't work out doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do at some point. So anyway, let's watch for that as we go forward.
Dispatch a fighter wing to meet the Asimov, been escorted back here. The potential combat situation requires the presence of at least one command officer.
Is Garibaldi available?
I suppose.
What?
What?
Nothing.
What?
I certainly have plenty of things to occupy myself here. Yes, sir. I think I'll just walk to and fro for a while. Maybe over to my console.
Fro and to.
After that, maybe I'll try pacing fro and to.
I remember that line. This is when we started doing dad jokes.
View, of course.
It's because of that line.
It's not quite the same as if you were outside.
I have an idea, Lieutenant Commander. Why don't you take out the fighter wing and escort the Asimov back to base?
What a great idea, Commander.
Well, if you insist, sir.
So you see,
I watch that now and I'm like, God, Sinclair's awesome.
And the body's fluid transfer
so well
system will
handled.
regain its integrity almost immediately. So you're just going to let him die? What kind of a god do you worship?
We cannot discuss this any longer. This is useless.
Wait.
Note that it's not just Franklin
I
passing
think
this
there
judgment.
might be another way. It will take longer, and it will be far more uncomfortable, and it will cost more.
We are the children of time. We cannot break our covenant any more than you could cease to be the descendant of egg-sucking mammaloids.
We can try something.
Egg-sucking mammaloids.
Sean's natural defense is
Great
a
egg
chance
on a
to
t-shirt.
break up the blockage. If we use a combination of emollients and microbeams, we might help the body clear itself. I'm not
He is
promising
lying
this
through his
procedure will work
teeth.
as well. It may not work at all, but I don't think you're going to find another doctor who will suggest anything better, and you will lose valuable time if you go looking.
Put that fear of missing out on
May
him.
we discuss this alone, please?
No, you have to make a decision right now. That's great play by Stephen Biggs, though. Like, it's so obvious. He's like, we can try.
Our son will not survive another space trip, will he?
No.
Then we either accept the fragile hope you offer, or we watch our son die in pain. It is not much of a choice, is it?
Nope.
Planet placebo. The egg has to be held just like this and petted.
That's a silly putty egg. Is what it is.
Yep. With a light in it.
Right?
Since I'm going to be too busy treating you to take care of it for a while,
They
you're
are
going to have
actively
to do that
looking
for
for
me.
something to be offended by.
Okay.
Like,
It is all right, isn't it? Please,
it is all right.
Manya, Datya.
The
Glopet, That's
it isn't a dangerous creature, is it?
Don't worry. it's
Dude, his
perfectly safe.
lipstick
Well, then you may
is
speak to the egg, Sean, but
way
you may
weirdly
not speak
colored.
of sacred things to it. Those are only for our people.
Yes, Datya. Thank you.
That's a good move by Franklin, right? Here's, kid. Your parents are going to let you watch YouTube, so I can give you something else to, like, occupy yourself that makes you feel like you're doing something valuable. Right? That's good.
You didn't solve anything, you just postponed it.
I gave them a chance to think about it, to reconsider.
You are so certain, aren't you?
All right, look.
Man, she sees
Look,
him.
if you think you can find a better way, go ahead. Research it. Prove me wrong if it'll make you happy. You're not going to find anything. And I'll bet a steak dinner on that, too.
Can't get steak out here.
Then I'll import one.
Why not?
One way or another, I'm going to save that boy.
They have freezers.
Right? We had that conversation a long time ago. Like, yes, you can get a steak out there.
I like what she was saying, though. I mean, she called him out, outright on where he was coming from. But when she talked about how, like, look in their eyes, they're so scared. I would have flipped back on him where, he was kind of in her face and he's like, you can't judge the patient. You have to understand them, and all this stuff. That's what, like she was saying, they're scared. So understand them, meet them where they're at, and because you have science, they have their beliefs, and like meet them there so you can give them some assurance, and that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get to do the surgery or whatever, but you can answer their questions.
Right.
And I like this doctor. She seems pretty good. Although she's out there being just as judgy as Franklin. That's the thing, like too, both Franklin and Dr. Girl are kind of like they're flip-flopping a little bit.
They are. They don't feel like they're staying on their side that they've established that they're each on.
Yeah. But maybe that's a product of like, this isn't simple.
Yeah, sure.
In my opinion, the presence of fingal eggs aboard this installation might present a serious hazard.
There's a real egg theme through this
Import
episode.
another steak.
I don't know you that much.
Import another steak.
In circumstances like this, we're in a legal limbo.
You could order me to take whatever steps I felt necessary to save that boy's life, including surgery.
If I do that, it establishes a precedent.
What if I made an official request?
I'm asking you to find another way to resolve this.
You don't care if that boy dies?
That's not the issue. If it were, we wouldn't be having this conversation, but it's not the only issue.
Ugh, I didn't get my way. I'm out of here.
This isn't going to go away. Neither will I.
It actually is going to go away because the kid is going to die. I mean, that's awful, but it's also true. I just got to say, I freaking love Sinclair. I don't know how I hated him so much the first time around.
I don't know how I thought he was a bad actor the first time around.
I know.
I thought he's fine. Like his acting here is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
It's not amazing, but it's fine.
It's not bowl me over. It's not Shakespearean turned screen actor, but
it's fine. And the character's great.
Yeah.
Maintain radio silence until contact.
Back when Raiders were a big deal, like.
Apparently they were important in a few episodes to be, plot movers.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
We have the safety of the patient precedent here on the station. You leave me no choice but to ask Commander Sinclair to suspend your parental authority.
What does that mean?
That means I'll do whatever I feel necessary to save your son's life. I'll put aside your objections and I will perform that surgery without your permission.
No, you can't do that. You mustn't do that.
Please, Dr. Brinkland.
I'm sorry. I have to do what I feel is best for Shaw.
I almost wonder she'd be like, look, he's going to die. So why don't you let me give it a shot? Let's see if that soul really leaves or not. Like, where's the downside?
Because they know he will. See, that's the thing, though, Jeff. You and I already know the answer to that question. I mean, are you asking this as Dr. Franklin or are you asking this as Jeff?
As Dr. Franklin.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, as a viewer who've seen this before, like, we get it. Like, that's the idea. Like, if you cut him open, his soul will escape.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a let's play around and see. This is not an F around and find out kind of thing.
This is a certainty.
Yeah, this is, according to their thing. But I got to tell you, Jeff, I'm sitting here thinking he says a line here that I find absolutely fascinating. I will go to Commander Sinclair and ask him to suspend your parental rights, right? Right here in the good old United States, in the state of Florida, because this is going to be the states are going to do this, not the federal government.
Yeah.
If you have parents withholding medical care like this, the state will step in and take the child away from you.
Yeah, that's abuse by statutory definition in every
Absolutely.
state.
Absolutely. They will step in and take this away from you. And is that right or wrong?
That's the question.
Listen, I'm gonna step on some toes right here, and I don't even give an F right now. There are people who've decided not to vaccinate their children against the measles. 2 of those children have died. Those parents should be held as criminals. They should be. Sorry, you just should be. That is ridiculous that has happened. It is ridiculous that it's now spread to over 200 cases across 2, maybe 3 states. That is criminal neglect.
Yeah,
that's where I am on it.
That's
just where I am on it.
If I don't,
you want to send me emails, do it. I don't care.
If I don't give my kid food and they starve and die, that's on me, right? That's neglect. That's a crime. I will go to prison. Why is it different with medicine? What is the difference here? And the thing is, there's not a difference. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, people have politicized it most recently, but even before that, as far back as I can remember in recorded history, whatever version of God or gods will provide. The gods and God did provide with the knowledge of science that led to us coming up with treatments and medicines. Like,
Yep.
Come on. This isn't a leap.
Yep. But the state, I'm going to ask Commander Sinclair to suspend your parental rights, and you don't get a say in this matter. And
stand by. We'll be right back. Are you ready to take your Babylon 5 for the first time experience to the next level? With our exclusive Patreon, you'll get access to all kinds of cool stuff that you can only find there. Our recording notes, unedited reaction videos, an exclusive Discord community. And you can even be listed as a producer of the show. Plus, we even offer exclusive meet and greets and hangouts. You won't find this kind of experience anywhere else. Get all these amazing benefits, plus the opportunity to interact with other fans from around the world. It's being part of a huge community where everyone shares the same appreciation for Babylon 5. Subscribe at patreon.com/Babylon5First. That's the number 5 and the word first to get access to these incredible benefits. That's patreon.com/Babylon5First. We can't wait to see you there.
yeah.
It sounds awful, but like you said, it happens. It happens.
And it might not be the wrong decision for the sake of the kid. Let's go back to this.
He is not your responsibility.
Unfortunately, he is now.
Yeah.
Dr. Franklin has made an official request, and I have to rule on it. Thank you for explaining your side of it.
I like how he's explaining his position and what he's having to go through.
I'll make my decision within 24 hours.
You will rule against us, won't you? You will give our child to Dr. Franklin. Earth people always stick together.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Wasn't going to make that decision necessarily, but now I am.
If he harms my child, if he touches...
That would be the wrong reason to make that decision, by the way.
We're not asking you to negotiate a treaty.
What's in it for me?
We're
That's all I'm
asking you
asking.
to help save our child.
What were you thinking when you petitioned us?
We thought your dislike of the Earthers would be enough.
Enough for us, not for you. We do not casually entangle ourselves in the affairs of other species.
Please. He's our son. Have you no sympathy?
That's a big growth point for Jakar.
My dear.
Because later on he does.
This is a difficult and distressing situation. Well, I would have to go to the council and request injunctive relief. The council could have Commander Sinclair's decision set aside once he makes it, but I would have to get approval for my world, and I am certain they would want me to justify the cost. Yes? Just how much justice can you afford?
The Volans are very powerful. If you filed a protest...
Again,
The fact they got Kosh
right
alone to have a conversation and a walk and talk with him.
Please.
But I do want to point out, again, pointed out before, but Jakar and Londo basically told them the exact same thing.
Also, you and I both said that for the 15 seconds they were both on screen, they both stole their scenes.
Totally.
They do.
They're so good.
It's what they do.
But Narn and Centauri, not so different.
Matters of the soul are very private, and are thus ourselves forbidden to intervene in matters such as this.
You are refusing because of your belief.
Because
you're not intervening,
We
you're
thought
being
the
invited.
Minbari were the most intelligent of all races.
We're only trying to save our child.
That is also what Dr. Franklin believes he's doing. Whose belief is correct? And how do we prove it? No. On this issue, the Minbari cannot take sides.
This is back when we're like, God, everything she says is just so profound and deep.
Alpha 1 picking up long-range scan.
That's actually, that is a chicken
seen
shit
this yet?
answer.
Don't think so.
Is
All
what
right,
that
continue
is.
to run silent.
At least
This is
Kosh,
the
or
ship
at
around.
least
We don't want a conflict if we can avoid it.
the other two guys,
Speed to maximum.
Jakar and Londo,
They're honest.
had the balls to go, no.
No, unless you throw enough cash my way.
I need a
No.
hell of a
Right.
lot more firepower to take that out.
Hello, Jean. I'm Commander Sinclair.
Yeah, this is the
Welcome
I love.
to Babylon 5. What do you think of my station?
I love that he talked to Garrett like he's getting,
Saying much.
he's talking, he's getting input,
Only the med lab.
and then he goes to the source.
I have to ask you a very difficult question. I know you've been thinking about it.
Do I want to live? Yes. Very much. But I don't want the operation. I don't want to lose my spirit.
I want to go to heaven, but I
There's
don't want to
nothing to
die.
be afraid. I had an operation once, a very serious operation, but I'm fine now.
I mean, there's a hole in my mind, but I'm fine.
One of the chosen. You are not born of the egg.
No, I'm not.
You're not as good as me.
Without life, the question is meaningless.
But life
has to be more than just a pulse beat. What we hold sacred gives our lives meaning. What are we taking away from this child?
That's a question we can worry about after the operation.
Are you absolutely certain this is the only way to save the boy?
Yes.
I have to refuse to sign the order. I can't allow you to perform the operation.
But I'm Dr. Franklin. I said a thing.
I have to honor the beliefs of the parents. Otherwise, Babylon 5's charter will be compromised.
Let's be clear. Sinclair's decision now is a political one.
Mm-hmm.
Not one that's in the best interest of the child, not one that's in the best interest of the parents, not one that actually honors the wishes of the parents. His decision is based on how is this going to impact the mission and charter of Babylon 5.
Yeah.
That's where his decision is being based out of, and I don't like that.
It's safe. It's non-committal. It's a place that he can sit in and say, this is why we're making this decision, and feel like he's justified. But like you said, it actually doesn't answer any question.
It's a piss poor reason to make that decision.
Let him die.
For God's sake, Doctor, do you think I want to do this? I have no more choice here than anybody else. I have to be the advocate for the parents because no one else will.
I do love that he said, though, if the commander of Babylon 5 pushes back every time their beliefs conflict with those of Earth, I think that's a really I think that's what it looks like to be on a journey of inclusion and belonging, is to see a situation and to stop and not see it through your experience and your values and your beliefs, but see it from someone else's or multiple other people's, and looking to find those common truths.
But my question, but the question that always comes back, that always goes unanswered when we have this conversation: where's the limit to that? You walk across, you see somebody being raped, right? Well, that's part of their culture. It's perfectly fine, is it? Or do you not stop it? I mean, we had this conversation when we watched Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
When we watched the episode of Emancipation, right? Like, where there has to be a limit to stuff like that, though. Well, and it goes back to the idea of, are there universal values,
exactly,
or universal truths? And that is the question that has to be answered, that is never answered.
It's not
by Star Trek, not by you and me, not by anybody.
Well, I think it's an unanswerable question given our scope of understanding.
Yeah. That's why you got to take it on a case by case basis, and you got to allow, frankly, you have to allow a human in the real world scenario. You have to have a real world human who is, able to assess that particular situation and make a call on that situation that is not a universal answer for every situation.
Yeah.
Is the ultimate answer there.
But as a society, we struggle with that, right? It's got to be a blanket thing. If this happens, this happens. But it really is. It has to be case by case, not even person by person, but case by case.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, you're probably going to get it wrong. And the next time there's another case, it's probably going to be somebody else who would do it differently than the way this first person would. So who's right, who's wrong?
Yeah.
You must be our beacon home.
Just rest.
I wonder if that's the moment Franklin made the decision he was going to do it. When the kid reached over and handed him the egg.
Sean,
Next kid's literally I'm dead.
I'm glad you didn't get your way. I'm grateful for the commander's wisdom. This is better.
Sorry, I can't agree with you.
Wouldn't it be great, though, right there, if Datya says, and I appreciate that you were doing what you thought was best for my son.
It would be great, and there's no way he's going to say
No.
Because he doesn't even believe that. He doesn't appreciate Dr. Franklin for anything.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
There's a question we've never really discussed here. We always talk about having to understand other people's culture. This case is typically, we're talking about from the direction of Franklin to the parents. We never talk about the other direction, that the parents need to understand where Franklin's coming from.
Yeah, you're so right.
We never talk about that particular idea. Like, he just wants to save the son. He does not get it. He does not understand. And rather than just shut him down and whatever, they never seek to educate. They never seek to bring him in and show him their way. It's just their way, and this is how it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be right in this particular situation, given the nature of how this is going down. But always in this situation, when we talk about trying to reach out and understand the other side of it, we very, very rarely ever talk about it coming back on this side.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think about it like we look at it through the lens of a dominant culture perspective. Dominant culture should pause and look at whatever, but
yeah, I mean, how dare Franklin intrude upon their beliefs? Franklin's trying to save their kid. It's just that simple.
How dare they intrude on his?
Or how dare they not understand that that's all he's trying to do? Why are they being mad at him? Yeah. That's all he's trying to do is to save their child.
I think it's just such an important thing to understand and hear is it's just find what's common instead of focusing on what's different or oppositional. They just kept restating their position. And there's no connection or movement that can come from that. It's like, I know you feel that way. Oh, do you feel that way more strongly? Great. I feel this way. But there was a commonality here through all three, even you pull Sinclair, and he didn't go here either. He ended up going to politics of the station. But if they all could come together and realize that really they all just want what's, quote, best for the kid. Now, what is best is different from each perspective, but they can find that commonality. There's real conversation that can happen from that.
But to be fair, in this particular situation, our friend Ron over in council chambers does point out, and rightly so, multiple times, the parents have talked about how the confidentiality of all that is sacred has been paramount. So they can't tell him about stuff.
But I don't know. They need to say this. Our beliefs are private, and this is sacred to us. This is very important. And we believe that what is best for our son is to suffer what's coming towards him, to let the waters wrap around him. They don't have to share this stuff about their faith or their belief.
But they can also still acknowledge that all he wants to do is to save their son.
Yeah.
And that this is hard for Franklin too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
if they came at it from, I can see, Dr. Franklin, I can see that you are trying to do what you believe will save our son. And we appreciate that very much. And you're passionate about that. We see that. And we believe you're wrong, that what you want is not what is best for our son. Because we hold these beliefs that are sacred and private and they're held above all else. But, in Texas, Alan Shock in there says they basically said that, but what they didn't say was, we see you trying to do what you believe is best for the kid. You can't
even if you don't understand our way, we understand that you're trying, even though we've tried to tell you this and you don't understand, we still understand that you're trying to save our son. And that's commendable, but you're wrong. And they could say that, and then we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump back into this.
If I stand by and do nothing,
Sinclair will have you thrown off the station.
No, he won't, but he should.
He should.
I'm already packed.
As you should be.
That boy is going to die in an hour if I don't operate. And no one, not you, not Commander Sinclair, not those poor deluded parents, is going to stop me.
Lord, preserve this child.
Say again?
It's a prayer for a spirit. My prayers have to be just as good as theirs, right?
There she is.
And with the stories complementing each other, the disobeying is happening at the same time. Like they're showing it back to back.
I mean, this is what we loved about TKO. And raved about for TKO for so long. This is the same thing.
Not good.
Help!
So, Sean, how do you feel? Here.
Commander Sinclair. He's got that Commander Sinclair energy.
But I don't feel different inside.
Well, see, I told you.
You did it. You did it anyway.
It's me! I don't feel any different!
Unholiness spawned you!
No! Don't leave me!
What have you done?
No! Don't leave me!
Thing is, it's ugly enough right here, and it just gets so much worse.
It's all right.
Yeah, see, this is where I've decided I have a position on this episode.
Yeah?
Franklin should have suspended the parental rights and taken away their rights.
Yeah?
For this child. Because that would not have happened.
If.
I gave you a direct order, Doctor. You disobeyed it. I should ask for your resignation right here, right now.
You want it, it's yours.
Don't tempt me, Doctor. Who asked you to play God?
Every damn patient who comes through that door, that's who. They want us to make it better, or make it not so. They want to be healed, and they come to me
Make
when
it
their
not
prayers
so.
aren't enough.
That's
Well, if
good
I
catch.
have to take the responsibility, then I claim the authority too. I did good.
Tell
We
him.
both know it. And
Dude,
no one is going to take that
Biggs is acting his ass off right now, man. That is,
Yes.
Put that on his
Sorry to
highlight
bother you,
reel.
Commander, I'm looking for Dr. Franklin.
What is it?
I think you should come to Medline.
Oh, here we go.
I think you both should come.
I don't want to watch.
Out.
I'm so steeled against this right now.
Yeah?
I really am. I promise you, when we get to Sleeping in Light, Jeff, stone.
I am not allowed to forgive either, but if I could, I would.
That's huge.
My husband has brought the
I'm curious enough to know.
The traveling.
I'm
robe
curious
for
enough to
great
want to know
journeys.
what forgiveness looks like in their society, given this
It will take
conversation
the
you and
boy
I have had over the course of this whole
He
show.
needs to rest.
He will.
Wow. He just told us what he's getting ready to do.
He did, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's their
He just
traveling.
said, I'm going to kill him.
Traveling robe, and he's going to rest.
Oh my gosh.
I'm waiting. For an apology.
You better check the temperature in hell first.
Now, this is the thing. If this was a Star Trek episode, this would be the end.
Yeah.
They'd walk off. Oh, they're going to fly away, and it's all great. Boys and girls, this is not a Star Trek episode.
No.
Buckle up.
Does Sean know wearing this robe what's about to happen?
He's got to know.
I finished the research on their people as we discussed. The great egg, the great journey, the great song.
It's all so great.
The great
There's a
maker.
Lamuda. Traveling robe.
Bum, bum, bum. A hi-hat on the upbeat, just giving you
I like
the-
how they have people just in the right spot where he has to run between them.
Oh my God. You did it.
This was not our son. This was only a shell. There was nothing to do but end the pain of the shell.
I'm going to tell you, Brent, this is why we have atheists. Because people who are like, if you believe, like, if your God is telling you that was the thing to do, then I want nothing to do with that God.
I've decided not to ask for it. This time.
No. You
Right.
should be fired.
You should never have asked me for a ruling.
All right.
Like
I was
that.
arrogant.
I've decided not to ask for your
But I knew what I
resignation.
was doing.
Because there's 100 more episodes
Maybe
we got to
we'd all be
produce
better off
first.
if there was no God.
I'm trying to tell you that what makes us human is that we care. Are you okay?
No.
Fine.
Effed up, insecure, neurotic, and whatever the E stood for.
You know, I think Franklin did the most human thing he possibly could have done.
Yeah.
But listen, when we set this in space and you have various aliens and different things like that, but yeah, it's just gonna go to credits, right?
No, we got Ivanova stuff to go.
Oh yeah, we'll pause it for a second. Sorry, you're right. I thought that was gonna go off into the outro.
There's a whole other B story. Like it's,
But here's the thing: like when you place this out there in the context of sci-fi with aliens and all that kind of stuff, right? To say this is the most human thing we ever could have done is throws it into relief. But to sit back and go, it's the most human response. You know, I love that line. What makes us human is that we care, and because we care, we never stop trying. Also, at the same time, what makes us human is we have so many different ways to make us hurt.
yeah.
You know, and it's because we care that we try. It's because we care we're trying to do this.
Texas, Alan Shock brings up a really good point, and Neil backs it up too. But we learn later about Franklin being a foundationalist and how, they're trying to seek all the names and identities of God, and for him coming in here talking about inventing God and things like that.
Is that what the foundationalists are doing? Because I thought that's what Brother Theo and his group did,
So there's a
was trying to
difference.
see all the names of God.
They want to know about all of them, right? And counsel help me because I know, I think they wanted to understand all of them. The foundationalists were trying to understand the name, or it might be the other way around.
I always just thought the foundationalist was just a like neo-religion, like it's kind of religious but not religious all at the same time. Like gives them the ability to be religious without actually being religious. Like it just that's always was my impression of what foundationalism was in this world.
So I thought it was around the lines of, hey, there's aliens, so there's other religions out there.
Yeah.
And so we want to know about that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's really similar to what Brother Theo and everyone has in God has many names and many things, but it's still all just God. I like how Neil describes it. Foundationalists are basically the non-butthole atheists. Spoken as an atheist himself.
I would figure that's more like agnostic than anything.
Yeah.
You know. But sure.
Non-butthole. I like that.
You know, if you're going to be an atheist, don't be a butthole about
Right?
it.
If you're going to be anything.
Also, if you're going to be religious, don't be a butthole about it. Just don't be a butthole.
Just be the non-butthole version of whatever.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
What happened out there?
Nothing.
Nothing?
From here on out, Biggs as a doctor is like, or Franklin as a doctor is like, I'm never telling people what I'm doing again. I'm just doing it. I'm just going to doctor, and they can deal with it in the end.
Because no one can doctor like Dr. Franklin.
Well, of course not.
All right, Brent, that was it. We made it through Believers for the second time. Talk to me about it.
You know, I wasn't nearly as emotional about this one as I did the first time I went through it.
Yeah.
I really wasn't. Like, I remember watching this the first time. I was like, no, damn it, no. Like, I probably should have pulled my reaction from the reaction video that I did.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, Jeff, this would have been my second reaction video ever.
Isn't that wild?
Ever was this one. I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. This is a terrific sci-fi episode, top to bottom.
Yeah.
All the way around. I thought this was a masterfully done episode. I can see why JMS would have been tickled to death with this episode. They went places. They did stuff here that no other sci-fi show is ever going to do or has ever done, at least of their time. And I still don't know that I ever want to watch this episode again. You know?
Well, you know,
but I think I'd be more okay with watching it now again.
Katerina
than
makes
I thought
the
I
point
would be going into it.
Katerina makes the point that the first time we watched it, we didn't know how it ended, and this time we did. So we got to see how all the pieces led to that.
Yeah,
and I think that,
and we were ready for it.
Yeah,
you're emotionally ready for it.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think this time I enjoyed this more because I knew it was coming and I could see it building, right? And that was interesting to watch. I like.
Well, you could also have that conversation along the way, knowing where it was going to go.
This is what's going to this, and all those pieces. Whereas the first time, I was going to say I liked it, but I appreciated it because it was so jarring and shocking and unbelievable that happened. But then you watch it the second time, you're like, well, of course that's what happened. Nothing else could have happened. This really is very well executed. We talked a lot about messages.
Yeah.
During this. I think we got more out of it this time than we did the first time.
Yeah. And if we can be clear what we're doing, Jeff, you and I had a conversation a couple episodes ago, maybe while we were in between these last two episodes. I don't remember where. Because we're now putting our full reaction both on audio and video, those are out there. We're not necessarily rehashing everything that we said during the episode. Like, that's not our goal here. Our goal is just to we're moving our conversation forward a little bit. So sorry. Just want to make sure people out there understood what we're doing is what we're doing on purpose. Go ahead. Yeah. What were you saying?
So we got a lot of messages out of this one last time and this time, but I feel I got more out of it this time than last time from a message.
Dive into it. What did you get?
Well, I think we talked about it so much during the episode itself, but a few things that popped out for me. One of the things that Babylon 5 has been so good at is just tossing out these little nuggets that are great. And I liked one that Sinclair said. Two things Sinclair said. One was, what makes a religion false? If one has to be right, don't they all have to be right? And who decides? Just that, again, what we talked about, who decides, and what's right and what's wrong or what's real and what's not.
Well, is there universal truth? Is there universal value? Is there universal whatever? And here's what I'm going to say to that, because we said we'd have to have this conversation later because the show brought it up, and I'm going to bring it up. All right. If you believe in a God, if you believe in a maker of some sort, right, then you by default believe in a rule, a lawgiver. You believe in a source of moral authority that is higher than this existent plane. Right. And that becomes where the right and wrong come from, is it's higher than us, which means it crosses cultures.
Yeah.
Right. Now that's for the universal truths. There are some things that certainly still are culturally based. Right. But the things that are higher than that. And I think that's where, when people look at old scriptures, and I'm not just saying Christian scriptures, I'm saying other old scriptures as well, and you see rules that were crafted and connected, a lot of times we fail to delineate between the universal laws of morality and the cultural laws of morality that were given in that particular time and era.
And in that context.
We fail, and then we bring those forward and bad things happen. Now, that being said, if you don't believe in a God, if you are, let's say, an atheist or something else, and I don't know what else it would be, and I'm not, so is there universal truth? Because then where does it come from? And the answer, and I am not a person who can discuss that because I am not of that mindset. So I don't know. But if you don't believe in any sort of a higher power, if any sort of a moral lawgiver, moral code giver, that is on a higher plane, I guess to say, then perhaps there is no such thing as universal truth. And in some cases, rape could be okay and killing children could be fine. I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Look at the Vorlons in the Shadows. I think that's just a really good example of that, where they see themselves as that higher power. And for one of them, it's okay to manipulate, go behind the scenes. Actually, they both manipulate and go behind the scenes. But one is all about sowing chaos. The other one is about doing order. And in sowing chaos, like they do horrible murder stuff. And that's great for them. Justin, who we meet on Zahadum, is like, yo, this is what you do. Mr. Morden's all about it.
Yeah.
And so, it makes me think, and I'm 100% sure this exists somewhere, but take an atheist from the West, an atheist from the East, very different cultures, right? Do they agree on any universal truths? And if they do, from where did they come?
Yeah.
My assumption is that they're rooted in whatever dominant religions are in their areas influenced.
I'd be interested to talk to what's a person who studies culture? A sociologist? Whatever this
anthropologist or something.
Anthropologist, like that, there are scientists who study this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would be really curious to know: are there, in general, universal truths that exist all over the globe, no matter who you are? Like, is it wrong to kill a child in every culture? Like just willy-nilly to just kill, forget it, children, just to just kill.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it considered perfectly acceptable? No big deal. Oh, somebody's just dead. There may be I think it's easy to point to the one lone tribe out there that has no, they're stuck on an island or in some rainforest or something. Right. But I think those tend to be the more, what do you call those?
The outliers.
The outliers. Yeah. Thank you. But I'd be real curious if in civilized world throughout history and throughout cultures, if there are still those, just from a sociological standpoint, I'm real curious. I don't know if anybody knows, email us. We'd love to know.
It'd be cool. And that's Earth, right? And then you blow it up to the galaxy in Babylon 5 and see if those things exist. I think that's a lot of what Brother Theo and his monks were searching for.
Yeah.
What are those commonalities? Another thing Sinclair said was sometimes doing the right thing doesn't change anything.
That's just truth, and Captain Picard said the same thing. It's possible to do the right thing and still lose.
Yep. That doesn't make us flawed, wrong. That makes us human.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would argue, God, I'm going to argue on Franklin's behalf here.
Okay.
That if doing the right thing doesn't change anything, it still matters if you did the right thing or not.
Say that one more time.
Even if doing the right thing doesn't change anything, it still matters if you do the right thing or not.
Yes. Agreed.
And Franklin did the right thing, and it changed nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I am, much like the Tuvix stuff, I have a clear right and wrong that I believe that I've taken a side on. I'm not down the middle on Tuvix.
Right. Yeah. You're very clear.
I'm not down the middle on this one at all. I'm 100% on Franklin's side here. I really am. I get where the parents are going. I get their reasoning for it, and I think they're wrong, and I think they should have lost they should have lost control of their child, and that child should have been taken away from the state. And it was proved right.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I didn't think I was going to coming into this.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either. Because I get it. He's a shell. This is not our child. We're ending this thing, which is purporting to be our child. Yeah. When the dad looks there and says, "What kind of demon spawn did you come from?"
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Those. It's tough because it's literally passing judgment on a culture, but they're not fit to be parents.
No. Unfortunately not. And this, Kosh. And here I'm going to go passing judgment like a Vorlon. Kosh says of the Narn and the Centauri, basically both should pass away.
Mm-hmm.
Like neither are worthy.
They're already dead.
Kosh says in this one, everything's moving. It's too late for the pebbles to vote. Jeff, let's have that conversation. What did Kosh mean by that? What do you think he meant? Everything is the boulder is already rolling or something like that. It's too late for the pebbles.
Yeah, the avalanche has already started. It's too late for the pebbles to vote.
There it is.
I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it aligns directly to Sinclair's. The Kosh thing was the camel's nose in the tent. So what he's saying is, I'm the avalanche. Like they've already violated someone's, medical whatever, and I'm an avalanche. Y'all are just pebbles. It's too late for you to have a say.
I'm not sure that's what he was saying.
No, what do you think?
No, I think he was talking way bigger. I think he might have even been talking about the coming Shadow War and everything having to like this is not just listen. What you guys are talking about here, this is piddly. This is dumb. There is a bigger thing that is happening here. Shadows are starting to wake up. Listen, the avalanche is coming, and you're out here trying to do all this little stuff and decide whether or not he should live or die or whatever. I think he was trying to basically say, you're going to die.
Yeah.
He's going to die. You're going to die. And your society is going to get wiped off the map. Your little tiny egg society is going to get gone. And it doesn't matter. Much like the Narn and Centauri should just be gone. And it doesn't matter. I think that might be more of what he was saying to them. Although yours makes far more sense in context.
Well, in context, I'm just thinking about yours in the context of later stuff, because I think that makes it sound as if they're saying the Shadow War is already done. Like it's just about to start, but you've already lost.
Mm-hmm.
But Kosh basically kills himself to go fight the fight. I think if he believed that, he wouldn't have stood when Sheridan was reading him the Riot Act. I think it would have been like, no, I'm not going to put myself at risk because y'all going to die anyway. Unless Sheridan, his relationship with Sheridan changed him.
Maybe. Sarah points out here, and this is where we're really going to dive into future lore of stuff. Kosh has no point that the Shadow War is coming. Is that true?
So she catches herself later on. She goes, oh, I thought you were talking about what Sinclair was saying. Sinclair had no idea it was coming.
Sinclair has no idea.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Kosh,
he knew.
I think clearly knows exactly what's happening.
Yeah, we saw that in the beginning.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think ultimately that's what Kosh was saying was, hey, this whole thing you're going through right now doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's it.
It doesn't matter. So let him die, let him live, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's bigger stuff happening right now. I think is ultimately really where he was going.
I think you're right.
There were two lines they had in here, Jeff, message-wise, that really jumped out to me.
Yeah.
One is, and I think this is one of those good things from JMS, and I'm saying this is like from JMS. This is written by David Gerald, not JMS.
Right.
But he says this: what we hold sacred gives our lives meaning. And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
What it is that we hold sacred, whether you're atheist or not, we all hold stuff sacred. We hold our families, we hold our children, we hold certain beliefs, we hold certain things sacred. Those are the things that we ultimately wind up serving our lives for. And those are the things that give our lives meaning. I love that. But I love Sinclair and Franklin and what they said at the very end. What makes us human is that we care. And because we care, we never stop trying. But what makes us human is that we have so many different ways to hurt.
Yeah.
If you don't have the possibility of hurting, you don't have the possibility of caring.
Yeah.
The idea that we care is what gives us, like, the other side of that is that we can hurt. It's the possibility of hurt, right? It's like, in order to live, you actually have to be possible to die.
That's what Lorienne says later. Exactly that. When we knew we were going to be immortal forever, nothing mattered. Once we were mortal, love and all of these things could come to be.
Go me.
Well done.
Good brain. Well, Jeff, you know what? We've talked ad nauseum here, I believe, about Believers. We've watched this episode for the second time, possibly for the last time, but I think I'd be okay watching it again. Just not right now.
Maybe.
But what we do have to do right now is we have to rank this episode. We're putting it in our 100% completely accurate and definitive ranking, Babylon 5 Season 1 second viewing order, because now we know everything. Our current top 5, Jeff. Number 1 is Deathwalker. 2 is War Prayer. 3, Sky Full of Stars. 4, Parliament of Dreams. 5, Born to the Purple. Jeff, where do you put Believers?
It's hinging on one episode right now, and I'm just kind of thinking through the impact and the importance of the episode. And I think based on what the other episode I'm thinking of, well, actually both episodes have to do with stuff that happens in the future. And the ultimate question we often ask ourselves of which one would I rather watch? Believers is going to become our new number 4, right underneath In the Sky Full of Stars. I was thinking above or below In Sky Full of Stars.
Wow. Over Parliament of Dreams and Born of the Purple, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this cracked the top 5 for you. I really am.
This is a great, it was a horrible, great episode.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm curious, though. I want to see what we plugged it in.
You want to compare it to the first time? Where did we? Of course, remember the first time we weren't ranking as we went. We only did it once we got to the season 1 wrap up. So where did it land at the end? Although I guess all of ours are really where they landed at the end.
It was our number 10 this season.
It was Parliament of Dreams and Born to the Purple above it by the end.
Parliament of Dreams was number 13. Born to the Purple was 15.
Okay, so we're still tracking.
Yeah.
Just proving 100% completely accurate and definitive.
Once again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God, we're good at what we do. Oh my God.
Wow. I get it for being arrogant sometimes. Wow. You're not wrong though. All right. Hey, listen, that's going to do it for Believers. Next week, Jeff, we've got a brand new episode on deck. Actually, it's not brand new. We've seen it before. That's why this is for the second time. We're watching Survivors. Jeff, do you remember what your prediction was for Survivors?
I sure do. I thought that this was going to be a Home Guard episode. Home Guard was going to bomb the council chambers, and we would end up doing like a procedural and piecing the story together through the eyes of like some of the more minor characters.
Boy, were you wrong on that one.
Yeah. Well, I was wrong as I thought. Do you remember what you thought it was going to be?
Oh, I was just as wrong as you were. I said that this was going to be a part 2 to Believers.
Yeah, you did.
It was going to come right off the edge of Believers. I said that the people from the Great Egg are going to, like, all the ones who'd somehow gotten cut open during their lives. Because that's the thing, right? Like, what happens to people like a kid who falls off his bike and gets scratched? Is he now dead? Like, do they just kill him now? They've been living in secret, and now they all come out in the open because they see that they actually can live despite this one thing that happened. And they're coming to Babylon 5 because they know that this is a place where they can be accepted and free. Although that really sounds like that should have been like an early season 2. Can you imagine Sheridan fresh on the station? All of a sudden, all these cut open Great Egg people living in secret come for freedom. Man, we had to, that was like kind of the Underground Railroad episode for the telepath thing a little bit, wasn't it? Anyway, that's what I said it was going to be. Not at all. Instead, we're getting Liana Kemper.
We're going to get Liana Kemper. Yeah. Survivors is another one where I'm like, I feel like I remember this episode, and I have. Well, actually, that's not. Does it have zero desire to watch again? Not true.
Not true?
I'd like to watch it again.
You want to watch it again?
I do.
Well, guess what, Jeff? We're going to watch it again next week.
We are right here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching this. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Like, rate, review, do all those things. And it would be super, super cool if you would share this with somebody else out there, whether they like Babylon 5 or not. Honestly, I think we need to, as a fandom, as a community, we need to get a little more aggressive around Babylon 5. Quit waiting for people who already like it or whatever. Let's just shove it onto everybody. Hey, person, do you enjoy television? Cool. Watch this podcast about Babylon 5. You should also watch the show at the same time. If we don't get more aggressive about it, this could be the swan song for the franchise. And while that's a great swan song, it'd be super cool if, if there was more that came out of this whole thing. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We're going to get out of here. We're going to call it a day. I'm going to beat Brent to the whole thing, and I'm going to just play the outro.
Hey, Jeff.
Dang it. I literally had my finger on the thing. Yeah, Brent, what's going on?
Hey, why'd you do it?
Why did I do what?
Well, you did the thing I told you not to do. Jeff, you keep doing this, and I keep telling you I can't work with you if you keep doing this. And if you keep this up, I'm going to need a new co-host, and you're going to have to resign from the show.
You want my resignation? Bro, you got it.
You know what? Nah, I've decided not to ask for it.
Oh, thank God. All right, I got to go unpack.
I mean, we're not some deep space franchise. This station is about something.
Damn it, Jeff.